So I chose for my first career social work with just a bachelor's instead of a master's. So this job is not going to be as broad as a master's social worker. A bachelor's social worker will have a smaller caseload, and we will not get the more difficult cases or the more controversial cases. So my common job tasks are just to be visiting with the child and the family that they are currently residing with. It is my job to look after the welfare of the child and track their progress and their general health. Often, children in these types of situations kind of feel isolated and that they don't have someone in their corner fighting for them, and it is my job to be that person for them. So, um, I just have to, or I have to meet with the family and write down my observations and submit them to the agency. Um, it is also my job to keep track of anything new happening relating to the child, court cases, for example. So if the biological family is going to court to try and regain custody, then I should probably be there just so I can stay up to date with all that is happening with the child. Also, is kind of just stay up to date in what's happening on in their personal life. They're doing sports with school, what their grades are like, all just anything relating to the child. Sorry, so the typical stressors for this job are more on an emotional level. So I have to withhold becoming emotionally attached to the child, which can be very difficult depending on the person. So if I become too emotionally attached to the child, then it makes my job much more difficult to complete. And since I cannot directly affect what happens in the child's life, becoming emotionally attached helps no one, not even the child. It makes their lives more difficult also. Seeing children in heartbreaking conditions, just hearing their stories of where they came from, what type of situations they were raised in, it's hard not to sympathize with them, but it just affects the children more, becoming emotionally attached. Also, for my job, I would have to travel great distances sometimes in a single day. So I could have to travel to a city that is an hour and a half away just to visit with the child for an hour and then drive all the way back. So that kind of it can be a little bit more stressful. The typical benefits for this job are health insurance, paid vacations, disability, pension. They cover gas fees for traveling, so you don't have to pay for that. And the pay is salary, so it's not your typical 9 to 5, 40-hour work week. You kind of make your own schedule, so as long as you complete your job and do everything you want, or everything you have to do, you're good. For education, you just need a bachelor's in marriage and family studies with at least a minor in social work or a bachelor's in social work. Just at least a bachelor's. And the working environment is very flexible. I worked as a nanny for a year, and 2 of the children were foster children. And so their social worker would come on a weekly basis and meet with the children, talk with me, or talk with the parents, whichever one was there at the time, on the progress of the children. So there was an infant, he was 6 months old, so she would track if he was rolling over, how much he was eating, just general things like that. She explained that she had complete independence on scheduling her meetings. She did not have to do it on a certain time schedule. And even submitting her paperwork, she could do it in person if she so chose, or she could fax it over to the office, whichever one was easier for her. So the job made it whatever was easier for the social workers. The office made sure that that was possible. So it's a very flexible work situation. And miscellaneous career information is that this career field is on the rise, with more families becoming affected by parental negligence, such as drugs, alcohol abuse, any sort of thing that would negatively affect the child. It's on the rise in today's culture, so social workers are being needed much more so than they were a few decades ago. So that is social work. Thanks.